want to start us off with a song?
Hello, yeah.
So I was going to do this huge, like, I wanted him to do interviews with people and send me clips of people, like, saying how passionate he is about things, and, like, you know, he has so many celebrity friends, Brandy and Wesley Jonathan and this person, never, like, we need to do a compilation. I need everybody to see you performing when you was young, or when you were with New Edition. I need to have, like, a big video to introduce you. And that didn't happen, and I was talking to Jamie because it wasn't happening, and I was getting frustrated. She was like, he don't need no video, all he needs to do is sing. And that will tell people. So go ahead. You're on.
All right, this is kind of an energetic song. Y'all feel like clapping? All right, so it's... Everyone's feeling pretty. It's hot to July. Though the world is full of problems, they couldn't touch us even if they tried. From the park, I hear rhythms. Molly's high on the box. Tonight there will be a party at the corner of the inner block. Didn't know you would be jumping into the break of dawn. I bet you nobody ever told you that you would be jumping into the break of dawn. Would be jumping,
I hear a lot of people say from an early age they always knew that they were going to be an entertainer. Like it was just never a doubt in their mind. Did you always know that?
The simplest answer, yeah.
How did you know that?
Well, there's some other questions I know you're gonna ask me. I don't want to get too far ahead, but Dad put it in me.
Mm.
If he didn't put it in me, I don't know if I would have done it.
Mm.
So I give Dad the credit.
Okay. So I read this book once by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers, and in it, to quote, he says, "You must study 10,000 hours in order to be world class in any field." So I want you to take me back to those early days of performing. Mm-hmm. When Dad made you practice, as a kid, did you understand the importance of practice?
No, I didn't. I remember he used to rehearse us. Well, I started singing when I was 6, but he started really rehearsing us when I was like 12, 13. It was me, Grady, and Canela. Mm. He used to make us rehearse, and I hated it. Hated it. He'd wake us up, like sing this, sing that, dance. I was just like, ugh. But he forced us to do it. And so I remember doing it all the time. But I didn't understand it. Mm-hmm. I didn't understand where it was going. I just did it because he made us.
Okay, so we joke and call him Joe Jackson for that reason. In hindsight, do you think his strict teaching contributed to making you the performer that you are?
For sure.
Okay. Did you ever think, so you've got all these record deals, you've released albums. Did you ever think with all the successes and the fails and the starts and the stops, I gotta have a plan B? I mean, our dad was a singer, right? And he had, record deals and had Stevie Wonder as a backing and, had all this money at one time. Mm-hmm. Did you ever think, I gotta plan ahead, there has to be a plan B?
Yes and no, and what I mean by that is I think the whole plan B idea is kind of, I don't think people get it. It's like, okay, no, I didn't have a plan B in regards to, all I wanted to do was sing. But if singing's not going to make me money, obviously the plan B is to go get a job at Walgreens or Blockbuster or just to make ends meet. So yes and no, does that make sense?
So you're saying that, yeah, if I need to go out and get a job,
but it's not going to change my career.
It's not going to change the passion that you have for singing.
No.
It's going to get you to where you need to get to pay the bills and take care of your family.
But you're still plan A.
Right. Okay, so I remember when you started on Saved by the Bell, it was like Christmas for everybody. But me. Just gotta put that out there. Because he bought everybody a car. He bought my brother a car. He bought his best friend a car. He bought his girlfriend a car. You was just doling out. You was making it rain on everybody. But I have to ask you, how did that feel to be able to financially take care of everybody in your life?
At that time, I was probably 18, 19. It felt good, but it was dangerous. Because Dad wasn't there, he was in jail, and my mom was back living in Colorado. And so there's this 19-year-old with all this money, a house, cars, and nobody to really tell him what to do with it. So that's why I say it was dangerous. That's why I just blew it. I didn't have nobody tell me how to invest it or nothing like that.
So having had money at that early of an age, how do you think that affected the way you viewed money throughout your life?
While you have it, be smart with it, because a lot of people don't get the opportunity even one time to have a lot of money. But some people maybe a couple times. So if you get a certain amount of money and you can do something with it, be smart with it. So that's what it taught me.
Do you think that having money at that age made you appreciate it, or do you think it made you feel like money can come and go just as fast as I can make it, I can lose it?
That's what I thought.
That's what you
That was my mentality. Like, because I remember, this is I know. When my last season on Saved by the Bell, I wasn't making that much, maybe like $5 grand a week, but that's still a lot.
Wait. Did you just hear what he said? $5 grand a week. And what year was that?
96. But no, the reason why I say it's not a lot is because it was like morning television. In sitcoms at night, you get paid like 25, 30 a week. So that's why I said $5 grand is not really that much. Yeah, relatively.
For us, that's amazing.
But as I was filming Saved by the Bell, I was on it for 4 seasons, and nobody could have known. Like, you could have told me like Saved by the Bell was going to get canceled, and so I thought the money was just going to be there forever. So, and in the 4th season, done. Lost it all.
Right. Okay. So we talked about money lows and highs. What about career lows and highs? What has been like the most pivotal point of your, I'll say the peak of your career, where you felt like this, I don't know if anything could feel as good as this, in your pit? Your what?
Brother was both of those. You mean like the pinnacle and then Yeah. When I got with my brothers, when we got signed to Def Jam in 2007, it was just the most amazing feeling singing with my 4 brothers. We got a chance to basically almost fulfill all of our dreams. Got to sing for Stevie Wonder at his crib personally, sing at Michael Jackson's 45th birthday party, work with everybody in the business. And then we broke up. So it was, you reached the pinnacle, and then I never thought, you couldn't have told me in a million years me and my brothers would break up and stop talking to each other. So that whole situation was both.
So what about, that pinnacle of singing with your brothers and feeling amazing, doing it with family, whatever that felt like. What about that and the pit? What did it teach you?
It taught me, the main thing that it taught me is to live in the moment, because I don't want to look back on the whole situation and say, damn, I wish I wouldn't have did that. Because, like if you could take me back in time and say, yo, you're going to have all these great experiences, work with all these great people, but then you're going to break up with your brothers, I probably still would have did it. Because I take the good with the bad, you know what I mean? You got to take the good with the bad.
Right. So Dad played a major role in the beginning of your career, and we talked about, being in Brother and how that was probably, did that hurt?
Yeah.
How that played a huge role, but I saw the beginning and the end of Brother, and just as an observer of being your sister and being so close to it, it was like the excitement of maybe our family making it, because everybody had all these starts and stops, and we were thinking like, this is it.
Yeah.
I remember having conversations like, those family conversations that you have when nobody is there, and it's just you and your family, and you're drinking, and you're just like, we're about to blow up.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. How did you feel like after that? Because I know it was a pretty trying time. Suicidal. Why suicidal?
Because everything that this was before, obviously, Anaya, I had Anaya, you know that. But this was like, other than Anaya.
Anaya is his daughter, by the way.
At the time, she was 7 or 8. Now she's 18. But at the time, all I had was everything was my brother's. We were each other's everything. And so for that to get taken away, it's just like, you're looking up at God like, explain this one. Like, what happened? So I'm suicidal.
Mm-hmm. So just to change gears a little bit, you're not my oldest brother. You're not even the oldest family member. But you are the place, your house is the place everybody congregates no matter what. Whether it's a family function or somebody is out, doesn't have any money, doesn't have a place to stay. You are the person that everybody turns to. Your house is that house. So why do you think that is?
I give credit to my grandma for that. My great-great-grandma. She grew up in Denver, Colorado. I spent like 10 years in Colorado from age 2 to age 12. And then my grandma, she died when she was 94, but she was that person that taught me. She always used to cook for everybody, used to invite everybody in their house. And it don't matter if it was gangsters, if there was the next door neighbors that she barely knew, like everybody was welcome over her crib. And I witnessed that growing up, and I just fell in love with that. Like, that's what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like, this woman is amazing. Like, just like your mom, she hosts everything. That's how my grandma was.
Right,
so
right.
I got it from her.
So there's people out here who may feel like they're always the person everybody leans on. It's overwhelming. I don't necessarily want to be that shoulder. I need to have someone to lean on. What do you say for that person who's that family member?
That, I know it gets tough sometimes, especially being like that person who feels like they have to be there for everybody. But, the best advice I can give is, we all know that it's gonna sound kind of corny, but God gives his biggest things to the strongest people, So it's like, you don't know if you could be saving somebody's life just by feeding them, just by listening to them. You know what I mean? Like, I've been in situations where I've been tired. I'm like, I don't want to hear this person talk, and then I'll invite them in, and we'll start chopping it up, and I'll find something out like that they're going through something. Like, I'm so glad I talked to this person. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just hang.
It's funny that you say that, because I was just thinking, like, there have been times when I think that I'm helping someone, or the intention was to help someone, be there as a listening ear, and then in my helping them, they help me. Exactly. So sometimes it can feel overwhelming, and I felt that, in my life, like I gotta be on my P's and Q's, I gotta help my family, like everything is about being better, and I think that pressure made me want to be better, made me want to like, not just think about making money, not just think about how I can climb the corporate ladder, but how I can be happy, because I think that particular part of my journey, I don't know if anybody in our family, if anybody in my life has ever put happiness or passion on a pedestal. I've never had these conversations with anybody.
Well, the thing that I've learned over the years too, and this has to do with the reason why I like to host people and listen to people's problems and stuff is people are attracted to happy people. You don't want to be around somebody that's depressed and sad all the time. So if the reason why people are attracted to me is because I find a way to be happy, given my circumstances. You find a way to be happy. People want to be around happy people because it makes them happy. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. So you told me nothing's off limits.
Nope.
I could talk about anything.
Yep.
So you've been pretty open in your music about substance abuse, about doing drugs. You almost lost your custody of your son because of that.
I mean, I did lose custody.
You did lose custody of your son. How did that start? Or tell me how that started, just the whole cycle of substance abuse.
You want me to take you back to when I first did drugs?
I want you to take me back to where you think it started.
Well, it started, I was a late drug user. I didn't drink or do drugs until I was 22, believe it or not. But I was like really clean cut guy, I didn't do nothing. And then one day I was at church, crazy thing. It's always the closest people to you. I was at church, and my older brother, Grady, was like, yo, man, I just tried this drug called ecstasy. You got to try it. And mind you, I'm in a happy marriage. I just got married to my first wife. We was like a year in. We were happy, studying the Bible, to have my daughter. And this nigga's in the back seat whispering in my ear at church talking about drugs. I'm like, man, you tripping. But he kept going. Oh, you and Maya will take it. You guys will get along. I'm like, all right, man, give it to me. All downhill from there. That was when I was 22. That's where it started. In church. No, it sounds bad, but
I mean, I think it's something that people need to know. Like, it doesn't happen with somebody always coming up to you on the street like,
it ain't gonna be no stranger, no crackhead. It's gonna be somebody close to you.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think it's worth noting.
Yeah.
You know, it's worth noting that you offered it to me.
I know. That's why I said it was all downhill from there.
It was all downhill.
Yeah, it was like.
And I didn't say no, by the way. I'm not going to put it all on him. But it taught me a lot. I think it taught me a lot. You know, but this is about you. The thing's about you. So during that time, you know, there were a lot of ups and downs. We don't have to go too deep, but why do you think you were able to overcome that? Because people can get on drugs and it'd be just a cycle and you never really quite get over it.
Mm-hmm. Two things. One, luck. Because there was like several times where I'm pretty positive I was about to die. Had a couple hospital scares. But the other one is just, I never tried any hard drugs, like no meth, no crack, no heroin. You know, ecstasy I did a lot of. A couple more drugs, but
sometimes that's even, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to go to
No, I'm just saying, but that you said, how did I break out of it?
Okay.
I feel like if I would have did one of the more harder drugs, like, you know,
Heroin.
breaking out of heroin is almost impossible.
Yeah, physically, yeah.
But, you know, ecstasy is it's a social party drug. You know, I don't think you can get it. Well, I was addicted to it. I take that back, but.
You're pretty addicted.
Yeah, I was addicted.
All right, so saying all that to say, I saw you during that time at your lowest point, you know, doing drugs every weekend, maybe even, you know, more than that, every day. But what I did see during that time is that you never stopped doing music. I mean, you spent money that your first wife probably would have wanted to kill you for, you know, from rent on selling your music out of your trunk. You never stopped creating. You never stopped. That you had a 2-bedroom house and a daughter and a wife, and you turned one of the bedrooms into a music studio. And I remember you always did drugs. I mean,
You're still on drugs.
you always did music. What was it, even though you were, you know, in that, you know, in something that could really like just take over your life, you never strayed from that passion?
I mean, doing something and having a passion for something for so long, since you can remember, the best thing I could describe is just, at some point it just becomes embedded in you. You know what I mean? It's just like, if you love something and you do it, how do you stop doing it? Like, how do you stop loving, if you love somebody, how do you stop loving them? It's impossible, right?
So you looked at your music as kind of another person, and
Yeah, it's like,
not just the making of the music.
Not just the making of it. It's like, I love music, so how can I ever stop doing it? I mean, I'm sorry. Can I cuss? Well, I'll try to keep it PG. It slips out sometimes.
No, you be real. I feel you. I mean, and that kind of surprises me. I never heard it put like that, but to think of your passion as another person and not necessarily just the thing you do, but when it's something you truly love, like you love another person, you don't turn your back on it. So, dang, you're getting all deep.
You're asking questions.
So you have a daughter in college right now, and you have 2 young sons. What are the lessons you'd like to impart on them regarding passion?
I don't want to just make this about music, but it obviously is. I truly believe in my heart that all my kids are going to love music like I do. But as far as just being passionate about something, I talk to my daughter about this all the time. Like I always tell her, I don't want you to be in the music business because it's just, I don't want you to go through what I went through. But she has a passion for music. But she's going to college now. She really doesn't want to go, but she, you know, mom and papa are making her kind of. But I always tell her, like, if you love music, then it don't matter if you're making money, just do it. You know what I mean? Just I don't know.
So it's pretty much, if you love music, it doesn't matter if you are singing in college at at a party, or if you're singing at a club or whatever. If you love music, do it.
Yep.
I like that. All right. So looking back at your life, is there anything you wish you'd known then that you know now?
Then, like when I was like a teenager.
Yeah. Or during this whole experience, whether it was in Brother, whether it was on Saved by the Bell, whether it was whatever, what do you wish you knew?
Nah, I like to be, nah.
No? Nothing?
Nah, nothing. I like it to come at me unexpectedly. I like to maneuver when I don't know what's going on, you know what I'm saying? That's like asking me if I want to know the day of my death. Nah, I don't want to know that.
So, okay, you can go back to Anthony. I wish there was a picture of your baby picture right here that I could ask this question about.
Oh, no.
So think about that kid when you were, young and dad was waking you up like, get your ass up, we about to perform. I don't want to hear nothing. And however you were feeling at that time, if you could go back in time as, the older, more mature Anthony and impart some wisdom on that younger person, what would you say to him?
I would probably say, do more. Meaning, like I could have, my dad taught us how to sing and dance, yeah, but imagine if I would have played the piano or the guitar, or Prince plays like every instrument. So I probably wouldn't just stick to singing and dancing. I remember he put us in tap classes. You remember that in the big house. Tap, ballet, and I was just like, nah, I gave it up, but I would go back and say, just do more musically. So
that actually makes me think about diversifying yourself. That idea of, even for me, like the blog is not it, a YouTube channel can't be it, the Hummingbird Village can't be it. I have to have so many more ways of my creativity expanding. It's not just that one idea. You have to think about all the different ways you can expand. And the first thing for me, when thinking about expanding, is figuring out what my passion is. Because I definitely had to define, okay, the blog isn't my passion. What about the blog makes me feel good? And it was the connecting with people, inspiring people, that made me feel good. And you can do that in so many different ways. It's not just in your writing, it's in this, it's in talking to people, just being an ear and all of that. So that's what I'm hearing when I...
Well, I think you found your passion.
Well, yeah.
I think this is it.
This is it.
Whatever you're doing something right.
All right, so we have a lot of entrepreneurs here, and I want to kind of get into that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. And you've had 5 major label deals, officially released 1 album on a major label, even though you've had so many label deals, or 3 major label deals, and you've released 3 albums independently. What are the rewards of doing a project completely independently, without any backing?
The rewards, all the money you make goes to you, even though it might not be a lot, but let's just say I press up 5,000 copies of my album and I sell all 5 at $10 a piece. That's 50 grand in my pocket. I don't have to share it with nobody.
Right.
Another reward is being able to have complete creative control. You have to listen to somebody telling you, no, you need to do it like this, you need to sing this song. I just do whatever I want to do. So I don't have to, when Brother had our deal, we had to deal with Donnie, we had to deal with different producers. We had no say-so creative.
Donnie was our uncle.
That was our manager and our uncle.
Even more of a Joe Jackson. I think there was a whole new rail. Yeah, it was Suge Knight. All right, so my last question for you is, what are you passionate about these days?
My family, my boys. That's it.
I like that. I feel, and I love that. I knew you were going to say that, by the way. But I feel like everything that happened in Brother, everything that's happened thus far was to get you to that.
Man.
Because you are a different person.
Crazy.
You're a different person, and I'm just, at this being able to do the Hummingbird Village and be here and talk to you, and your transformation and what I've learned, you know, being your sister, it's inspired me. And I know that all of this happened, you even having your voice, that was the dream. It was never, in my opinion, the record deal.
You couldn't even told me either. Like when, sorry to interrupt.
No.
But when brother broke up and I told you I was like having those thoughts, and I was like literally screaming to God, like, I don't want to live anymore. You couldn't have told me, fast forward to 9 years later, and with these two of the most beautiful faces that I've ever seen in my life, you couldn't have told me that God would have blessed me in that manner, because I wouldn't have believed it. Like, I'm like, nah, it's crazy. It's nuts. It don't even make any sense, but it makes sense.
Well, I'm happy to share this with you. Thank you for being here. Thanks.
Hug.